You might think you know a bit about Spanish dialects, but today we're going deep on a language that might just totally surprise you. Catalan.
Totally.
We've got a stack of linguistic research and historical accounts right here.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Catalan more than earns its place on the world language stage.
Oh, what's fascinating is how many people just dismiss it as just a Spanish offshoot.
Right.
It's so much more than that.
Right. But before we get into all the intriguing specifics, let's start with the basics. For those hearing about Catalan for the first time, what exactly are we dealing with here?
You're encountering a fully formed Romance language. Think of it as like Spanish's sibling, not its child.
Okay.
Both descended from Vulgar Latin, but they evolved independently, taking different paths and developing unique characteristics along the way.
Okay, so like any good sibling rivalry, there are some notable differences.
Right.
And not just in how they sound.
Absolutely. Geographically, you'll find Catalan most prominently featured in Andorra, where it holds the distinction of being the only official language.
Wow.
It's also vibrantly present in regions of eastern Spain like Catalonia and the Balearic Islands.
And get this, there's even a community of Catalan speakers in Italy.
Right.
Alghero, to be precise.
Yep.
It's a fascinating example of how language can transcend geographical borders.
Yeah, it really highlights how language isn't always confined to like the neat lines on a map. It's fluid, it's influenced by migration, history, and cultural exchange. Speaking of which, I was fascinated to learn about the concept of the Catalan countries.
Right.
This idea of a shared cultural identity stretching across borders is incredibly intriguing.
It really makes you think about the power of language to connect people across time and space, doesn't it? Okay, history buffs, get ready, because this is where things get really interesting. Catalan boasts a rich and vibrant past, including a full-blown golden age during the medieval period.
Yeah, we're talking kings choosing to pen their autobiographies in Catalan.
Wow.
A powerful testament to the language's significance and prestige at that time.
Imagine that, a language so respected and revered that rulers chose to, immortalize their stories in it. But then a period of suppression cast a shadow over Catalan. Can you tell us a bit about that? What happened?
Well, with the shifts in power, especially during Franco's regime in Spain, Catalan faced some truly dark times. This period, stretching from the 1930s to the 1970s, saw a systematic attempt to suppress Catalan culture and language. Imagine, schools forbidden from teaching it, books banned, and even everyday conversations in public discouraged.
It's heartbreaking to imagine a language being so targeted, so silenced. It really speaks to the idea of language as a powerful tool, even a weapon, in the wrong hands. It's almost unimaginable, isn't it? A whole culture's way of communicating just actively suppressed. But the story doesn't end there. What happened next with Catalan is pretty remarkable.
You're right. It's a testament to the resilience of the Catalan people and their deep connection to their linguistic heritage. Despite the suppression, Catalan was kept alive, almost defiantly, in homes, through music, in whispers. And as Franco's regime came to an end, we saw a resurgence of Catalan that's truly inspiring.
It's like a whole language once pushed to the brink, just bursting back into life.
Yeah.
It's a powerful story. But let's step back from the history for a moment and zoom in on the language itself. We've talked about Catalan being distinct from Spanish, but how exactly does it differ? I mean, it's not just about a different word for coffee, right?
You hit the nail on the head. It goes much deeper than a few swapped out words. We're talking core vocabulary, grammar, the very DNA of the language, setting it apart. For instance, take the word for miss, as in missing someone.
Okay.
In Catalan, it's enyora, a word unique to this language, hinting at a deeper cultural nuance.
So it's not just about the absence of something, but a deeper longing, a kind of nostalgia maybe.
Exactly. Enyora suggests a profound emotional connection to what's missing. It speaks to a culture that values its past, its relationships, its sense of place. This difference, seemingly subtle, offers a glimpse into the richness and uniqueness of Catalan. And it gets even more fascinating when we consider outside influences.
Like how both Spanish and Catalan borrowed words from Arabic, given their shared history.
Yeah.
But it seems they each incorporated them in different ways.
You're exactly right. Think of it like this. Both languages were presented with the same ingredients, but ended up creating totally different dishes.
Huh.
For example, the Arabic word for alms evolved into limosna in Spanish, retaining its connection to charity. But in Catalan, it became almoina, often used to describe a small gift or a token of appreciation.
Okay.
This subtle shift in meaning reveals how a language evolves within its cultural context.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's like these linguistic fingerprints offer clues to a culture's history and worldview.
Precisely. And speaking of variations, it's worth addressing what some call the Valencian question.
You mean whether Valencian is its own distinct language or a dialect of Catalan? I have to admit, I was surprised to learn this is even up for debate. I thought that was settled.
Yeah. It's a debate that perfectly highlights how language can be as much about culture and politics as it is about pure linguistics.
Right.
You see, some argue that Valencian possesses enough unique features to be considered its own entity. They point to variations in pronunciation, vocabulary, and even certain grammatical structures. Others, however, see it firmly as part of the Catalan family, emphasizing the historical links and high degree of mutual intelligibility.
So where do you land on this? Is there a right answer?
There's no easy answer, and even among linguists, there's no definitive consensus. But here's what's important. Mutual intelligibility between Catalan and Valencian is remarkably high.
Okay.
You could travel between Barcelona and Valencia and have a conversation, understanding the essence of what's being said.
So it's like understanding a Southern drawl versus a New York accent in English. Different flavors, different rhythms, but fundamentally the same language.
That's a great analogy. It's about recognizing those regional nuances and appreciating the diversity that exists within a broader linguistic family.
I love that analogy. It really puts things in perspective. But I have to ask, for our listener who might be thinking, okay, this is all well and good, but why should I care about Catalan?
Right.
How does this impact me? What would you say?
That's the question, isn't it? What's the takeaway beyond some cool linguistic trivia? I think the story of Catalan, especially its revival, holds a powerful message for us all. It shows us that language isn't just about communication, it's about identity, about cultural heritage, about the very soul of a people.
Right. It's about a community refusing to let their voice be silenced. And their story shows us that even when a language is pushed to the brink, it can come back, stronger than ever. It's incredibly inspiring, actually.
Exactly. And I think for anyone who's passionate about language learning, Catalan offers such a rich and rewarding experience. Think about it. Even knowing a little can transform your travels to these regions. It's like having a secret key that unlocks deeper cultural understanding.
It's like you're not just a tourist anymore. You're engaging with the culture on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Ordering your cafe with the perfect Catalan accent, that's got to feel good.
It's about more than just ordering coffee, though. It's about connecting with locals in a meaningful way, understanding the nuances of their humor, appreciating the poetry in their everyday expressions.
It's about seeing the world through a different linguistic lens, which, let's be honest, can really broaden your perspective.
Absolutely. And on a larger scale, the story of Catalan's revitalization offers hope for other endangered languages around the world. It demonstrates that with dedication, passion, and a shared sense of purpose, language revival is possible.
It's a powerful reminder that every language holds a unique perspective, a way of seeing the world that's worth preserving. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Catalan. We explored its history, its unique features, and even tackled some linguistic debates.
It was fascinating to kind of unravel these layers with you and uncover the richness and complexity of this often overlooked language.
Couldn't agree more. So to our listener, next time you hear Catalan, don't just dismiss it as a Spanish dialect. Remember, its vibrant history, its unique linguistic character, and its enduring spirit. Who knows? You might even be inspired to learn a few phrases yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.